Hi, in this video, I'm going to explain you how to make use of this sorting functionality to sort these values. So in this application, I'm going to sort this value according to two criterias where I'm going to sort and display these values according to the status field, or I'm going to sort and display the values according to the gross amount. So this is what I'm going to do here. So first I will prepare the UI with which I'm going to provide the sorting option. So I will go back to my view where I have been developing it. And in the page, after this content, I'm going to add this region called as a footer region where I'm going to provide the option to the user specifying that by selecting this value, you can sort it according to this. So footer is an aggregation within which I'm going to make use of this control called as a bar control, because the footer only supports either toolbar or bar type of controls. So in the bar control, there is an aggregation called content right, with which I'm going to display the select button that I wanted to be available on the right hand side. So what I'm going to do is to provide the user to sort the values. I'm going to provide options with a control called as a select. So with this control, I'm going to provide this option where you can see that this has this some of the properties like what is the selected key, what should be by default selected, and the selected item ID will give me which is the value that is selected, and I have this icon property type and so on. So I'm basically going to create this control where I'm going to provide an ID to it as ID sorters, and I'm going to set some of the other properties as well, such as I wanted to set this icon property where I'm going to specify that the icon is equal to SAP hyphen icon colon double slash group hyphen 2. So you can look for the icon that you wanted from the icon library, which is available here. Then I'm going to specify the type as, if you see here, the select type, it indicates that it's either default or icon only. So I'm going to make use of this icon only property where I'm going to indicate this type as icon only. I don't want it to display the text. Then I'm going to give this auto adjust with to be true so that it will fit according to the space that is available. So it's to be true. It's a boolean value. Then I'm going to give this items aggregation. So since this is an aggregation, I'm going to give it inside the control where I specify this items aggregation with that of values like this. So for this items aggregation, the supported type is sap.ui.core.item. So if you see this sap.ui.core.item, it has properties such as key and text, with which I can identify which is the value that has been selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an item here. So since the core library is already imported with the name core, I'm going to use that namespace core item where I'm going to specify the key is equal to and the text is equal to what. So key is going to be let's say for example none, and the text I'm going to have it as none. So this is the default one, the first one, and second one I'm going to give the key as. So basically what I'm going to do is that I'm going to provide the key as that of the field name so that I can use it for my dynamic programming, where based upon the key field I will be able to identify which method I need to execute. So this I'm going to call it as sort by amount, and likewise I'm going to add one more thing where the key I'm going to give the lifecycle status as a key, and here I'm going to specify it as status. So whatever I have done so far, I'm just going to submit these changes. And I will reload my application. So now you could see that on the left hand side bottom, you'll be able to see a footer here containing the bar element, where this it only contains this icon as I have specified, only the icon to be displayed. And when I select this, it is going to give me the sorting criteria where it says either none, amount or status. So now according to the option that I'm going to choose over here, I'm going to sort these values and I'm going to display it. So to specify that, what I'm going to do is there is an event called change event for this select method, where you can see it from the API documentation. It has this event called change, for which I'm going to assign an event handler where I'm going to call it as handle so sorters, and I'm going to implement this method in my master controller. So as usual, it's an event handler method. It imports this event object as an importing parameter within which I'm going to get the information like according to which field I wanted to do the sorting. So now whenever I select this value, what would happen is that it is going to give me this event object indicating that what is the selected values. Now I already know that the parameter name would be selected item, which will give me the value of this selected item, whatever the item that I select from the list. So I'm going to get it as variable o selected item is equal to o event dot get parameter, where I'm going to get this selected item, and based upon this item instance I'm going to get the key values. So I have specified the key here as which one has been selected. So from the item instance I can get this key value, whereas the item instance has been obtained by getting this parameter selected item from this event object. So from here I'm going to get the key. Variable s key is equal to o selected item dot get key of whatever the value that I have selected. Accordingly I'm going to get the key. Then based upon this key I'm going to execute the sorter methods. So basically how the sorter function works is that uh, let's say this is how my data is available: 1000 with status n, 1001 with status p, 1002 with status c, 1003 with status as p, 1004 for example 1004 with status as p. So let's say if this is how my data is available, and if I wanted to sort it according to the uh, uh, status, like whether I wanted to group all the new sales orders separately, all the in process sales orders separately, and all the completed ones separately, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to pass this data to a method where I'm going to set a key. So this bunch of data which I have, I will pass it to a method where I'll be setting a key like, okay, if it is n, then I'm going to say like the key, let's say for example, key is equal to 1, and I'm going to give couple of information, key and text, where I will be indicating that the key is equal to 1 and the text is equal to new. Then when the value is p, I'm going to give the key as 2 and the text as in process. Then likewise for c, I'm going to give the key as 3 and text as completed. Now when the next record comes, it is p. So what I will do is that I will assign a key to it as 2 and I will say it as in process. And for the next one, again I'm going to set the key as 2 and I'm going to say it as in process. So what will happen is that I will pass this data to a method, inside which method I'm going to set this key combinations. And once the key combination has been set, and when it comes out of this method, the standard will sort the values according to the key which has been provided over here, and they will accordingly display it. So what it will does is that first it will display for the key 1, where it will display this. Then it will display for the key 2, where this will be displayed next, and this will be displayed next because it is sorting according to the key. And then this will be displayed, and then finally this will be displayed. So that's basically how your standard is going to sort your values. So you're going to assign a uh, key to it, and according to the key it is going to sort your values. So to assign a key, I'm going to create a separate method which will be used as a sorter function to assign the key over here. So um, what I'm going to do is that method I'm going to create it in a separate file so that I can reuse it later on. So inside this util folder I'm going to create a new file, what I'm going to call it as a sorter.js. So this is going to be similar to that of your formatter function, where I'm going to define as sap.ua.define, where I'm not importing anything as of now, and I also have no need to define anything because it's just an object which I'm going to create over here. So I'm just going to create an object instance here, where I'm going to specify that these are the methods I wanted to use. So there are a couple of methods I have to create because I'm going to sort my values according to either amount or status. So when I sort according to status, what are the key combination which I wanted to create? When I sort according to amount, what are the key combination which I wanted to create? So here I'm going to create the methods. Now this method that I'm going to create, I'm going to create it in the same name of the key field so that I can use it in the dynamic programming, where I'm going to specify that for the gross amount, this is the function. Now, whenever the sorter function is being executed by the framework in this binding feature, um, in case of formatter, it imported the value that came inside that particular binding. Whereas in case of sorters, it imports the entire row. So that entire row information will be given to you as a context. So this is going to be the key provider for sorting with gross amount. Likewise, I'm going to create one more method here where it is going to be the key provider for sorting with status, where here I'm going to make use of this status field, let's say lifecycle status, and I'm going to indicate this context. So now based upon this, I'm going to take this row by row information and accordingly I'm going to assign value to it. So like I said over here, when this first row comes, I assign the key as one and new. So this will be the key and this will be the text information which I'm providing here. So these are the two information which are required out of this sorter functions. So what I'm going to do is, for now I'll just implement for this lifecycle status, then later we will implement for our gross amount, where I'm going to say that from the context information which I have obtained, I wanted the status field. So I'm going to say it like variable variable s status is equal to o context. I'm calling this method get property and I'm providing the name of the property as lifecycle status to get the status value. So now I would have obtained the status value. Then what I'm going to do is that I need to form the key and text. So I'm creating a couple of variables where I'm going to create this variable um, s key and yes text. So I have created a couple of variables and I'm going to check that if the status that comes for this particular row is going to be n, then what I wanted to do is that I wanted to set the key value as 1 and I wanted to set this text value as new, because this text gets displayed over there after the sorting value has been displayed. Else if the status comes as p, then I wanted the key combination to be formed as s key is equal to 2 and s text is equal to in process. So similarly, I'm going to add it for one more condition where I'm going to say else if the status is going to be completed, then the key is going to be formed as s key is equal to 3 and s text is equal to completed. So I am forming the key according to the value of the status that I obtained for each and every row. Then I return that value for each and every row, where I'm going to say that key is equal to s key and the text is equal to s text, which I have captured from the previous execution here. Right. So in this way, what I'm basically doing is that if it comes as n, I pass this as a key value as an output. If it comes as p, then I pass this. Then finally, after obtaining every key, system is going to sort it and it is going to display it accordingly. Now I have created this sorter method. Now what I wanted to do is that this is a method which I wanted to be used as a sorter for sorting the values according to lifecycle status. So what I'm going to do here is that in the master controller, I'm going to get that method. So for me to get this method, first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to import this here, where I'm going to say it as sales order slash util folder slash grouper is a method, and I will import this into my application as grouper. Now I can directly use it here, or I will put it like underscore grouper is equal to whatever is the object that I have obtained, that I put into this local private variable. And from this local private variable, I'm going to say it like variable f1 grouper. So what is the method which I need to use as a grouper method? I'm going to get it as in this controller, there is an object called grouper, which has this method for sorting according to life cycle status and sorting according to gross amount. So I wanted for the sorting according to the life cycle status, which comes as a key information when I select this status. So based upon, since it is available there in the key, I'm going to do a dynamic programming here where I'm going to pass this key. So in this way, I get the code which is available for this lifecycle status method into this F1 grouper. And this is something that I'm going to use it for building my sorter functionality. So when sorting according to this lifecycle status, I wanted to use this method. So I'm going to create this sorter where I'm going to make use of this class new sap dot UI dot model dot sorter is a method where it takes three parameters. What is the field for which I'm going to do the sorting? So that information I already have it in the key where I have used the same name as the uh, property. And then the second parameter, whether you wanted to sort it in an ascending manner or descending manner. I wanted it to be in a ascending manner, so I will be giving it as false, because if you look at this sorter function, you see that the parameter indicates descending. So whether it has to be in descending. So I do not want it to be in descending. So I give it as a false. Then what is the method that has to be used to create the key combination? So I provide this method F1 grouper has to create this key combination. So I have provided that. And then as usual, I will get the reference of the list. I will get the reference of the binding, and O binding dot sort will be the method to which I have to apply the sorters. And once again, this expect the value as an array. So I create an array called a sorters, and whatever the value that I have here, I push it into this array, and I pass the array value over here. So now I have implemented the sorting logic where I have done it as a dynamic programming where I'm going to get the method according to the key has been selected. So that's the reason why I have provided the same name. And based upon that method, I'm going to provide the key combination and I'm going to sort my values. Now, let's say I will submit my changes and we will execute our application. Right. So now what I will do is I will go and debug this application. Sales order slash util slash grouper is not available. Let me. Okay, so here I have created with the name sorter, and what I have done is I have just imported it with the name grouper. So I'll just modify this to sorter. Okay, I haven't submitted the changes yet. So right. So now I'm going to select this according to status, where what I will do is I will get the selected item, where I will get the selected item by passing this selected item as a parameter. So you can check the importing event object which has this parameter called selected item, which will give me the instance of that selected item. So based upon that, I'm going to get the key information where the key is going to say as lifecycle status. Then the object that I have imported, which is this underscore grouper, which is going to have this method lifecycle status and gross amount. So I'm basically going to do a dynamic programming over here where whatever is the method name that I'm going to pass it here. Let's say for example lifecycle status. Oh, sorry. Let's say if I'm going to pass lifecycle status, then it is going to give me the coding for that particular method. Likewise, if I pass gross amount, it will give me the coding for that particular method. So let's say it will give you the coding for that particular method. So in this way, what I have done is by I know that the key and the method name are same. So I just pass the key value and I got the sorter function for that. Then I created a sorter where the field is going to be lifecycle status, and this is the logic that has to be executed for the grouper function. And I have created that obtain the list binding. Then by calling this method sort, I have applied the sorter. So what would do now happen is that now the system will execute this method for each and every row into my for each and every row it will get executed this where I get this status, and if the status is uh, C, then it is going to form the key and text as 3, and it is going to return that. Now the system would register the key and text for this as 3 and completed. Likewise, it is going to get executed for each and every row, and it is going to form the key combination. Then once the key combination has been formed, then here you could actually see that I get the text as completed, and I get what are the values that has been completed here. Now let's say for example I'm going to filter with this, so I would get more information. So here you could see that I have this completed, then I have this in process. But here you could see that the completed is again displayed over here. That is because we actually have not implemented any logic in the backend to adjust our logic accordingly. So what needs to be done is I will put a breakpoint here. I'll put a breakpoint here in my method, and we will reload this. Now, whenever I'm going to do the sorting according to by executing a sorter method, I also have to sort the value from the backend as well. So if you go to the locals, you will be able to see one more importing parameter called it underscore order, which will give the instruction that how the value has to be sorted. So I wanted to sort it in an ascending manner. So here I get this as sort according to this lifecycle status in an ascending format. So I get this information here, and if the sorter is available, then I will have to sort the result set according to this particular sorter. So we will go ahead and implement the logic for this, where after the selection criteria has been completed, I'm going to do this sorting thing according to sorters. So I will do that only if this it underscore order is not initial. Otherwise, I will not have to modify the values. So if this it underscore order is not initial, then what I will do is I know that this it underscore order is of this particular type. So to get that information, I will create a work area here where I'm going to create a work area for this data ls underscore order type this. So I get this array, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do that read table it underscore order into ls underscore order with key. What is the key? So here it comes as a property, where I'm going to say that when the property is equal to lifecycle status, with the key property is equal to lifecycle status. When you're going to sort it according like the lifecycle status, so I'm going to check that if this entry is available, then what I'm going to do is that I know that I have to do the sorting, but how I have to do the sorting, either in ascending format or in a descending format. So what I will do here is that I have imported that row into this. So I will say that if ls underscore order hyphen order is equal to ascending, then what I will do is I will sort it according to ascending order, else I will sort it according to descending order. So whatever is the result that I'm going to pass, which is this et underscore entity set, I'm going to sort this et underscore entity set by lifecycle status field in a ascending format. Whereas if this is going to be this, then I will sort it according to descending format. Okay, so I have implemented this service for this lifecycle status. So we will execute this now, and we will reload our application. right? So now what is going to happen is that we will remove the debugging from here, from this sorters, as you know how the key is being formed already. We need not debug that again. Team submit. So I'm going to refresh this application now. So first I will search for this 001 so that I will get more records. As if there are no filtering condition, we are only taking the first 10 records. So we are not having sufficient data there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sort it according to the status. Now, as I know that from the front end, we are going to apply the filters, which is going to go to the back end. And here we know that we already have this filter, and according to this filtering condition, we have retrieved some data. So we have retrieved around 101 record. Now I check this IT underscore order, which is not initial, as I know that I have applied this sorter for lifecycle status in an ascending format. Then I read this information with this lifecycle status, and if the order is ascending, then I'm going to sort this according to the lifecycle status ascending. Else I'm going to sort it in a descending format. Now here itself I have sorted the value, so this makes me that if you check the status column, okay, lifecycle underscore status. So if you see here, here itself I get all the values sorted first according to C, and then all the values sorted according to P, and so on. So in this way I will be able to um, get the information properly displayed on the UI, where you can see that the title indicates that it is completed. Then after that I see all the values that are completed. So all the values that are completed are listed out first. Then after that I see the title as in process, and I see all the values which are in process are being displayed over here. So in this way, by adjusting the sorting values in the backend also, I'm just avoiding this inconsistency which I have showed you earlier. So you could see that the value has been sorted and according displayed according to the sorting criteria which I have specified. So in the same manner, what we will do is that we will also implement the sorter for the gross amount as well. So first I will do it from the front end, where what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this variable I amount is equal to o context dot get property of gross amount. So I read the gross amount value, and I create this variable s key comma s text, and I'm going to form the sorter as if the sorter amount is lesser than, let's say, what is the value that we have. Okay, if it is lesser than 5,000, then I will say that the key is equal to 1, and I'm going to key the text as below 5,000. So that key information you can pass it according to any value that you wanted. So finally the end value is what matters. So the system will take it as, you can either sort it as A, B and C as a key values. So I'm going to add one more condition, where I'm going to check if I amount is greater than 5,000, and if and I amount is lesser than, let's say, 15,000, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the key value as 2, and I'm going to get the corresponding text as between 5,000 to 15,000, and I'm going to say else if I amount is greater than 15,000, then I'm going to say it as s text s key is equal to 3, and I'm going to say s text is equal to greater than 15,000. So similar way I will also adjust the logic from the backend as well. Before that I will have to return the key value here, where I'm going to return the key is equal to s key, and the text is equal to yes text here. Then the backend I'm going to adjust it as if the IT underscore order is not initial. Now I know that I have one more sorting criteria according to this, where if it is not according to life cycle status, if I'm sorting according to gross amount, then I will check here as for gross amount, as the previous condition would have failed if I'm sorting for gross amount. And if it is an ascending order, then I will sort it according to gross amount ascending and gross amount descending. So I will submit these changes from the UI. And I will reload this application. I'll remove this breakpoints. Okay. So to get more values, I'm just going to filter with 001. Okay, now if I sort according to the status, we know that the system will execute the backend logic, and you can see that the complete has been displayed first, and then the in process has been displayed, right? So similar way, if I sort it according to gross amount, then the system will read the sorter method for the gross amount, and here you could see that below 5000 has been displayed here, and then whatever the criteria that matches between 5000 and 10,000 that has been displayed over here, and whatever is above 15,000 that has been displayed over here. So here you can do multiple queries. Since you get this entire row information, you can take some 2 or 3 fields, and accordingly, if you wanted to sort according to those 2 fields, then you can just combine that and you can form your own key accordingly, and you can create the sorting logic, because the row context gives you the complete information. So now that we are done with this sorter function, and we have pretty much completed everything that we wanted to do it in the master page, then what we will do next is that whenever I'm going to select an entry over here, I'm going to take that entry and I'm going to navigate to the detail page, and I'm going to display my sales order detail over there on the detail section. So to do this, we will have to once again write some routing configuration, where I'll have to use, where with the help of that routing configuration I'm going to navigate to this particular screen. So that I will cover it in the next video. So until then, thanks for watching this video. Have a nice day.